Hi, my name is Matthew McKee, and I'm the lead developer at Robert Bear Media. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to make a straight-to-text clickable button. So what that looks like is a button that you click, and it takes the user straight to their texting app. Now, you might be saying, well, I can already kind of do that. I've got the button element in Wix. I can go to phone number, add a phone number here, and hit done. What this actually does is open the user's phone app for calling, not texting. What you actually need to be able to do is use this SMS prefix, and that will take them to the messaging app. But you'll see you will not get a valid entry if you add that here. So how we're going to get around this is by using a custom element and using what I like to refer to as forbidden code. Forbidden code is anything that allows you to access the document object, the window object, the navigator object, or in this case, the shadow DOM. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what you're going to do at the beginning is you're going to go to add elements and you're going to select custom element from the search and just click the plus. Ew. So first steps first is we change the ID of custom element because custom element 1 is dumb. The second will be to go to choose source, and from here you'll select Velo file. Now, if you don't have a folder set up for custom elements, this will create a custom elements folder in the public section of your backend and public code in the Studio Editor, and from here you can click Create New. What this will do is give you a whole bunch of gibberish, which you will promptly delete. And then you can rename this file SMS Button.js. So from here, what you're going to start with is by declaring a class. So we'll declare the class SMS Button, and it needs to extend the HTML element class. And you can see in the MDN docs right here exactly how it's done. So while this feature is not native to Wix, it is native to the web, which I think is pretty cool that Wix is giving us an entry point into being able to use this kind of code. You can do all sorts of cool things with it. But first, what you're going to need to do is add the constructor method. And the constructor method is simply going to call the super method, which calls the constructor method of the element that is being extended. So next, you will add what's called a lifecycle method. So you've got connected callback, disconnected callback, adopted callback, and attribute change callback. And these are methods that fire automatically whenever certain events happen, such as the custom element being added to the page or an attribute changing. We'll get into that later. So what we're going to do is add a connected callback. Pretty simple. And it's just going to say, I am connected. And just so we can see our updates, we'll do let count equal 1 and console log I have updated. You'll see why this is useful in just a little bit. So that looks pretty good. The last thing we need to do is come down here and access the window object, remember, forbidden code, and access the custom elements and define. And so if we go back to the documentation, you'll see custom elements.define, and you pass it a string, which is a hyphen separated name of your custom element, and then the class name. So we'll go back and do this, and we'll say that the element is called SMS Button, and the class is SMS Button. That looks wonderful. So from here, you'll see that your custom element has now become invisible. And you'll also see that you can select here. So changing the tag name could be a little tricky. So let's see if I can get it on the first try. Usually it involves coming here and then going there. And then if we're lucky, boom, we got it. So we'll do a little bit of styling on the custom element. You're not going to really be able to see this, but we'll just make it 100% width, center it, and anchor it to the top. So we'll go ahead and publish, and we will go ahead and start seeing what we're dealing with whenever the publishing finishes. All right, the publishing is done, and you'll see it's still loading. It's still loading the old code. The code is not compiled, and the cache has not been hit. All right, so now we see our logs. We see I have updated and I am connected. So perfect. Now we are connected. So let's go back to the code and go back to our class. And so what we're going to do is in this connected callback, we're going to do what is referred to attaching to the shadow DOM. So we'll go to the MDN documentation and scroll down a bit. Okay, and we see we've got this method attach shadow. So that's what we're going to do. Attach shadow, and we pass it an object with a mode of open. And what the shadow DOM does is creates a way for us to encapsulate our code and our elements that we're working with, and not have it be able to be really affected by outside code other than what we can do with Velo from the page code and what's happening inside this file. So from there, what we're going to do is create an anchor link. So we'll do document forbidden code, create element, a tag. A is for anchor, and we'll go ahead and say a.innerText is click to text us, and then we'll do this dot shadow dot append child anchor. And just for some visibility, we'll do a.style.background color equals green, a.style.color equals white, and a.style.display equals block, and a.style.margin equals 0 auto. So that should display it as a block and center it in the custom element. Change the background to green and the text to white. So we should have, whenever this is done publishing, and we've got errors. A is not defined on line 14. Oh, well, it helps if you use variables that are defined. One thing about working with custom elements is that Wix doesn't really give you too much linting, too much automatic error displaying. You'll kind of just catch things in the build log. The code will fail to build. So we'll update this count. This will let us know that whenever I see I have updated to, I'll know that the code has recompiled, and it's just a little trick I use whenever I'm working with code from publishing a Wix site, because sometimes it doesn't always refresh. So now I see I have updated to, and now I see my button. Okay, awesome. But now it's not doing anything. It's not very helpful. So what we'll do is we'll leave the styling for now, and we'll go ahead and start by saying this dot underscore dot phone number equals null. and we'll declare it here. We'll use this underscore. We'll use this underscore notation like we did with when we declared the shadow. And this is kind of just a programming style that lets anyone else who comes behind you know, hey, this variable is supposed to be private. It's really only supposed to be used inside of this class. This kind of coding convention is used whenever private members aren't available, and while they kind of are now, whenever ES6 was released and JavaScript actually gained classes, privacy was not available. So we'll follow this convention and we will declare that. So this looks good. One thing that we'll want to do is say that we want to set the phone number from the actual page code. What we'll do is we'll get a reference to our custom element. Let me make this full screen. And so we'll say custom element, and then we'll do a custom element dot set attribute, and we'll pass it phone number, and then we'll pass it a value for the phone number. So we'll do 1225 because I'm in Louisiana, 555-2525. Okay, and that should build. And now we'll go back to looking at the lifecycle methods, and you'll see this attribute change callback. So what this does is it runs anytime an attribute has been changed, which is what we're doing. We're setting the attribute. So in order to catch that change, we need to have this attribute change callback, and it provides 3 parameters: name, which is the name of the attribute, the old value, and new value. The old value is provided in case you need to do some kind of comparison between the old value and the new value to decide what step to take. This isn't that complex. We're just going to say if name equals phone number, this phone number equals new value. And that looks pretty good. One thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and do anchor.style.width equals, let's say it needs to be about 300 pixels. So we'll do 300 divided by 16 is 18.75 rem, and we'll make it a string. I prefer using rem instead of pixels because pixels can vary on devices. Rem is a little bit more precise. 1 rem equals 16 pixels. So again, 300 pixels divided by 16 gives us 18.75 rem. So we'll publish that, and now hopefully, I forgot to update the count. So we will update the count, and then we will actually, since go ahead and redeclare it as a constant, so I'm not mutating the value. So whenever we get to publish, okay, that looks good. And then we'll come back here and we will clear the console and reload the page. And we see I've updated 3. Okay, and now presumably this is run. I guess I should have added a console log that says I am changing the phone number, and then that'll let us know that the code is firing to change it. And then we'll do console log new phone number is this phone number. And now we wait. And I keep forgetting to update the count, but give it a bit to publish. So far it's been doing pretty good on not just continuously loading the cache code. It's actually actually playing nice for once. So you see I've updated 4 in the console. Let me refresh again so you can see that. I have updated 4, so we know that our code is updated. But for whatever reason, it seems that this change isn't taking. So if we come back here and we look, we need this static observed attributes. The attribute has to be observed in order for the attribute change callback to fire. So what we're going to do is come back here and we're going to say static get observed attributes, return an array that contains the name of the attribute that we're trying to observe. So we will update the count, and I foolishly hit the publish button too early, so saving, publishing, and we're good to go. So once again, let's see if we get it first try. Yes, we do. And you'll see that the attribute change callback actually fires before the connected callback, which as far as I know doesn't cause any conflicts, but I just found it interesting that before the element is even really fully loaded, the attribute change callback fires, and just like that, it's set. So let's go ahead and get to the code that's going to allow us to open the user's SMS app. So what we're going to do is have a method called open SMS app, and it's going to look a little bit something like this. So we'll do const phone number equals this phone number. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then we'll also do const message equals pre-typed message, or you know what? Let's do something a little bit more fun. Hi, I'm interested in your services. Okay, cool. And one thing you have to remember is for this message to work, you need to use encode URI component. This just ensures that it's able to be passed as a link, which is essentially what we're doing. So next, we'll create a variable called link, and the link will look something like this. SMS, so we've got that SMS prefix that we were talking about earlier. Phone number, and then we'll use the query string to say body equals message. All right, that looks good. Now we'll do a little bit of device specific coding. So for Android devices, we will be using the navigator, once again, a member of the Forbidden Code Club. And we'll say navigator user agent dot match, and then we'll write a little bit of regex. I know regex can be scary, but this one's pretty simple. Just if the user agent matches Android, case insensitive, then run this code, and we'll say window dot location equals link return. Whoops, return. And let me make this full screen again. Sorry, guys. So now we'll do for iOS devices, and this will be pretty similar. We'll do if navigator dot user agent match, and we'll once again pass it a case insensitive regex that says iPhone or iPad or iPod. I don't personally know anyone still using an iPod, but let's cover all our bases. And then we'll say const SMS window equals window dot open link, and then we'll pass it the string underscore blank, which lets it know to open it in a different tab, which is something that is necessary for iPhones. And so then one thing that we need to do after the So let's take a look at this method real quick. Window.open in the Mozilla developer docs. So you have window.open, and it takes a URL and a target. So we're providing it the URL with that SMS prefixed link. We're providing it the target with the underscore blank. And then let's see what it returns. The return value is a window proxy object. So basically, a proxy to the window object, or really just another way of accessing the window object. In order to kind of keep things clean, what we're going to do is if SMS window. So if this successfully returns that window proxy, we're going to pass it. Sorry, not pass it. We're going to do a 3 second. Actually, not 3 second. A half a second. Wait, and then we'll do SMS window dot close, just to make sure that we're not opening ourselves up to any kind of messy, uncleaned up code. So we open a window and then we also close it, since all we're trying to do is get to the navigation app. That looks good. So we'll also return here, and then we'll just handle the default case, which will be window.location equals link. And this will handle anything for like desktop or any sort of tablet that doesn't use these user agents. And so far that looks pretty good. Now, in order to add that to our anchor, we're going to come here and we're going to do anchor on click equals this, and we'll declare it as a arrow function so that the context of this doesn't change. So we can do this dot open SMS app. If we were to declare it how you normally would with the function keyword and no arrow, the value of this would actually be this anonymous function. So this is what's referred to as the calling object. And whenever you declare a function with an arrow, which is something that we got in ES6, this context doesn't change. So this is actually going to be equal to our SMS button class if we declare this as an arrow function. So with that being said, let me update the count to 6, and we will publish. All right, and let's go ahead and see. Okay, I've updated 6, and let's see what happens. Okay, and you can't see it, it's off screen, but it worked. I'll show you on my iPhone. Okay, that's what it'll look like when we're done. That's what it looks like now. Click it, and it'll prompt me for permission, and boom. Says, hi, I'm interested in your services with that number attached. So let's get it looking right. So I think one of the easiest ways to do this is to just go ahead and style it from Chrome DevTools. So I'll split the screen in half and go ahead and have a look at it. So right now the width is fine. I think that the text line could be centered. I also think that it needs maybe 4 pixels of padding, let's say, or we'll say 8, so that's 0.5 rem. I think the font size should probably be 1 rem, and the border radius should probably be 4 pixels, so that's 0.25 rem. And let's see, the margin, we actually need it to be a little bit off the top. So we'll say 10 pixels. and then we'll come over here. So just a quick reminder, declaring margin like this, 0 auto, what that stands for is top 0 left, or top 0 right auto, bottom 0 left auto. So whenever we change it right here, this is actually the equivalent of saying top and bottom 10 pixels of margin. So we see right there, and left and right you can go to auto, which is how you center block displayed elements. So if we go ahead and put this at 0, if we hover this again, you'll see now that that the bottom margin that was there earlier is no longer there. So that all looks good. We'll change the background color to black, and that looks pretty good for our CSS. So go ahead and copy that to the clipboard, and we'll come back to the code. Now, we could add all of the styling in here inline, but this gives us what's referred to as inline styling, which is really hard to override in CSS. And actually can really only be overridden by adding the important declaration to the rule, which you generally want to steer clear of. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to add another method. It's called inject CSS. And what we're going to do is create a style tag. So we'll say document.create element style. And then we'll do this shadow.append child style. So we're adding it to the shadow DOM. And then here we're going to do style.inner HTML equals, we'll give it a string with backticks so we can kind of edit it like free text. And here we're just going to add a class called SMS Button and paste in our styling. And Wix isn't going to do any formatting for us, so we'll have to handle that on our own. So that looks pretty good. And if I publish this, let's go ahead and observe what's going on here while we wait. So you see we've got our custom element, it's got the attribute of phone number, and then you see this shadow root open. That means that we're working in the shadow DOM. So what will happen if we actually call our inject CSS method and we update our count and then we publish again. Wix publishing seems to be a little bit slow this morning, but that's okay. Still a fine day for development. So just come back over here. See, I have updated 7, but now we don't have any styling going on here. So, oh, that's because we forgot to add our class. So what we need to do is go to our anchor and we'll say anchor.classList.add SMS button, and we'll publish it again. I'll get rid of this because it seems like we're able to get the cache refresh on the first refresh, at least lately. So let's go back to half screen, and now we've got our fully styled button. So once again, we'll click it. It will. I'll go ahead and show you guys from the iPhone. Okay, remember when the button was green? Now it is that way, and we click it, hit allow, and there you go. It's that easy, folks. So thank you for watching. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to leave them at the end of the video, and catch us next time for another exciting tutorial.